Good morning, everybody. It is 7:27 a.m. Sorry, 7:28 a.m. Tuesday, July 8th, 2025. After getting pretty decent amount of sleep this night, more than usual, because I had been exhausted yesterday from only having half an hour of sleep yesterday, I had a number of dreams. Many of them I don't quite remember, but one of them was interesting to me, and I wanted to share it with you guys. I don't quite remember all the sequence of events that led up to it. But let's see, where do I start? So one dream I had that seemed to be loosely connected to the other ones was I was at this store. I remember there was this pseudo deli meat place. I guess just a deli in the store. And there was fresh cut meats. There was this meat they would cook from raw to cook. And then stuff like that. I remembered, for some reason, I felt inclined to go behind the counter, even though I don't think I was. I don't know why. I just felt inclined to just go behind the counter and start doing stuff and take charge. It's possible that maybe I was an employee, but I was off duty perhaps. Or maybe I was no longer an employee but used to be, or maybe I just had experience elsewhere. And I just went behind the counter, and there was these sandwiches that had to be made, and someone was struggling with them for some reason. And I just started making them. And was like, what's next? Or where's this or that? And I need this. Hurry up with that kind of thing. It was interesting. And odd. I've never worked at a deli before. I've worked at a bakery, and I've also worked in a fast food restaurant. I'm wondering if maybe the combination of both experiences combined with making sandwiches is very straightforward, usually. Maybe just, I don't know. Or maybe I'm craving a sandwich. Who knows? So there was that. At some point, the dream shifted to this sort of gathering. It's like a family gathering of some sort. And I'm trying to remember. There was this coastline, this waterfront or whatever, and there was this dock, this length of what do you call it? The platforms, that extend out into the water for boats to sort of dock to. And there was 3 or 4 of them. They were pretty close together, and it was clear that this sort of small dock was meant for small ships and boats instead of big ones. Not terribly small, but a yacht would definitely not fit there, nowhere near be able to fit there. And I remember people were arriving on boats. And I remember there was at one point I was considering going out in the water on a boat to go fishing for some reason. I was wondering, should I do that? Because it was like a party, right? It was a family get together, and there's a lot of people. And at one point, on one of the docks, on one of the boats that arrived with some like supplies and I think more people, and one of them had this like young girl of maybe 10 or 12 years old, I think, who was very like, I can't tell if she was angry or just like annoyed. Like you could tell she didn't want to be there. She was on her phone, or maybe even playing a Game Boy. I don't remember, but she's clearly playing video games. And she had this like, I have resting angry face, to put it mildly, because of constant years of scrunching my face because of lights being too harsh and stress. And so when I'm resting, when I'm calm, my face looks like I'm angry, even though I'm not. I'm perfectly calm. And I think she kind of had a similar face. I think she actually was annoyed though. She clearly didn't want to be there, right? For some reason, I had it in my head that she was my younger sister. But when I'm thinking back to the dream, I don't know if she was or not. It's possible she was a cousin, perhaps. Or maybe she was my younger sister. I don't know. But my current younger sister is 2.5 years younger than me. And my younger sibling, the youngest sibling is like, they're not young enough for the age of the young girl and in the dream. And my younger sibling, is, I don't want to specify because he asked me not to. But does it make sense? It does not make sense, is my point. And like, it was neither of them. So either in the dream I had another sibling somehow, because I was like my age, maybe 20s to maybe mid-20s to late 20s. So I'm wondering if maybe they were a cousin who I considered a sister of some sort. I don't know. But I remember I walked down the dock, the platform, the planks, and to the end of it, where this boat had set up. It was a pretty large boat. It was able to fit just fine, I'm trying to think. The docks. It was like the space between the platforms. It was like 10, 15, maybe 20 feet, Pretty decent, of distance between each one of them. Anyways, this boat was carrying supplies and was like a fishing boat with the sort of driving platform thingy. And like it would fit 10 people, that kind of thing. 8 to 10 people. So she was near the front, sitting or whatever, just like on her phone, nonplussed about the whole ordeal. And I walked up and for some reason, like she looked at me, I looked at her as I was walking up, and like maybe I waved, I don't know. And I remember at some point she got off the boat and I picked her up, and like she was perfectly fine with being picked up for some reason. Like it was like we both communicated with each other without words. And I picked her up like a baby, like with her like chest to chest, and her head was over my right shoulder while she had both arms around me so she can keep looking at her phone, and her legs around me, and just carried her, right? And it was like this, the whole point of why I'm sharing with this is the intimacy was, it was nice. Like the trust and the the comfort was something I don't experience often. Because basically, I was essentially hugging her of sorts, and just carrying her. I was carrying her back down towards the land from the edge of the docks, and talking to people on the way and saying hi and whatever. And I realized at some point she was getting very sleepy, and so I kind of like had the thought of okay, let's go inside. It's very loud outside. There's lots of noise because everyone's talking. Let's go inside. And so I went inside and went in through this sliding door that had the kitchen, and closed the sliding door. You could still kind of hear the noise outside a little bit. And so I went to the living room, which was the next room over to the right, found this armchair, reclining armchair, and kind of like scooted it out with my feet as best I could, or pulled it out somehow. And then before either she fell asleep, I think she had fallen asleep at some point. I think somebody had grabbed her phone before it fell and gave it to me or put it in my pocket or her pocket. And she was clearly very tired. She was very exhausted from the ordeal. Because I think she was like me, where she gets overwhelmed from too much socialization or whatever. We're like kindred spirits, And it was cute. It was very cute. And I remember I just sat down in the chair, reclined a bit, and just let her sleep. And I think at some point I fell asleep, And so it was nice. They're like the intimacy that you don't get very often sometimes from like just like holding and being held by someone else. And I guess I just fell asleep or something. But like I had this like thought in my head that she was like, I mean, she was probably going through puberty, perhaps, or maybe she was just a troublemaker of the family. But I think everyone knew that I was like one of the only people, maybe one of the few people who like she actually was comfortable around. And everyone probably thought it was cute, but also expected, And also, I'm wondering, I don't know why, I had this thought that maybe someone took a picture of the two of us sleeping in the chair or whatever, like passed out. I don't know. But I feel like she'd be like very angry and embarrassed to know someone took a picture later on, the idea is cute. But yeah, I mean, it was an interesting dream, and like the connection and the trust. It was interesting. And honestly, it reminded me, because most of my life growing up, I was kind of like the pseudo babysitter, kind of. Oftentimes people would want me to babysit their younger ones, because they trusted me, and I was always nervous about taking care of them properly, but it seemed like they knew, because of how kind I usually was and gentle, that they would trust me. And meanwhile, I'm like, okay, how do I take care of them properly, Fortunately, they were most of the ones I took care of were old enough to be mostly take care of themselves. They're like 10, 12 years old, maybe, that kind of age. There was one point I was taking care of like some 4 and 5 year olds that I was like nervous. Like I really hope I don't have to change their diaper or whatever, because like I'm not gonna know how to do that. And fortunately, it wasn't that long. It was like very short. I think someone had to go shopping real quick, and they came back immediately afterwards. So I didn't have to worry about that. But yeah, I was like the babysitter growing up, and I guess this dream kind of just reminded me of that, and reminded me of the I think I need a hug, is what it is. I think my dream is telling me that I need a hug from somebody. So I'll go hug my younger sibling or my dad or whatever later on when they're awake, because like clearly I'm starved of human connection. So yeah, that was it. I think there's more dreams I had, but I cannot remember them, unfortunately, and I need to decide if I'm going to get up or not, because it is almost 8 in the morning, and I had about 9 hours of sleep, I think, which is pretty good. But I'm still got to make up for the time I didn't sleep enough yesterday. I've got work in 7 hours, though, so I got plenty of time to do whatever. And I also want to get this uploaded and also get some other stuff done, so. Anyways, enough of my ramblings. I hope you enjoyed this little tender moment that I had in a dream, and yeah, I'm gonna go find a hug later. I'm gonna go find a hug. Anyways, talk to you later. Bye. Hey, it's me again. Just wanted to mention real quick something I forgot to mention earlier. It's actually many days later since the initial recording. But on the day of me making this recording of the dream, I was watching YouTube, whatever, or no, I was browsing like Twitter or whatever, and I saw a really funny, also very wholesome picture of Spy X Family. It was of the father, right? He was in a they were at the beach, right? All three of them, and he was laying in one of those like lounge beach chairs when you lay in. And Anya was sleeping with him on top in a blanket. I don't know why a blanket, but in the summer, whatever. But in a blanket, and it was really cute. And she passed out, and he was just chilling there, maybe passed out. And I remember like 4 panels, right? There was 2 panels of him and Anya, and 2 panels of Yor and Anya. And the first panel was just her sleeping. The second one was him kissing her on the forehead. Then it moved on to the third panel, which was of Yor holding Anya by the ankle, like she's like Achilles or something like that. And apparently that one is a reference to a picture online of a father holding up their child by the ankle upside down for some reason. I don't know. It was cute. But I just want to mention the coincidence was really interesting. But like the picture of Anya on top of the father in the blanket, just sleeping, all like lovingly, was very cute, and it's kind of reminiscent of the dream I just shared with you guys. So I just wanted to mention that. Anyways, talk to you later. That was a weird slam. Sorry. Talk to you later.